Right, Democrats, this is day 2. This is where the energy rises. Let me hear you make some noise. Come on. The stakes get higher from here. Voting is now officially closed, Democrats.
You have all cast your votes to elect the next generation of leaders for our party. From here, the road ahead is packed. We still have awards, entertainment, the second part of our resolutions, motions and affirmations, and of course, later, the moment we will all be waiting for, the announcement of the election results.
And this next chapter is rooted in the real priorities of the people that we serve.
People want more jobs.
They want a government that stops stealing.
They want water to come out of their taps, lights to stay on, roads to work, and rubbish to be collected.
They want to feel safe in their communities and ensure that they are protected by a government that cares.
Because delivering for South Africans is why the DA exists.
And Democrats, that's exactly why this Congress matters.
What this weekend has shown and what we have to take away from this momentous occasion is that where the DA governs, life is better.
And we have to take that DA difference to all the towns in South Africa, to all the cities in the country, to all South Africa.
To root out corruption.
To deliver basic services.
And to fight crime.
And to create more jobs for South Africans.
Viva DA, viva!
Viva!
Delegates from National Spokesperson to National Communications Minister, please welcome to our very own Soli Malati.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man who gives Action SA sleepless nights, please welcome to the stage the DA Tshwane mayoral candidate Cilliers Brink.
From a DA young leader to the next mayor of Ekurhuleni, welcome Katu Rasilingwane.
And part of the mission to get Johannesburg working, welcome Kyle Jacobs. Please welcome to the lectern, Soli Malatsi.
Democrats, 19 years ago, in this venue, I attended my first DA Congress as part of the 2007 cohort of young leaders. When I look at this room today, I see how far our party has come. The size of this Congress, the diversity of delegates, reflects the long journey of our growth in building an open opportunity society for all. And while we have consistently shown that the DA delivers for all wherever we govern, South Africa has for too long been failed by those entrusted with the responsibility to govern our country. Unemployment, poverty, crime, and corruption are the lived realities of millions of South Africans. These are the consequences of betraying our country's hard-won freedom. Freedom comes with responsibility, but it also demands that we do not turn a blind eye to the human suffering around us. unlike those who ignore the water shortages experienced by Joburg residents simply because they enjoy the comfort of a shower in a luxury hotel. All of us here today know South Africa is capable of better. And Democrats, it is only in the DA that a young person who comes from a place that even Google Maps doesn't recognize can rise from being an activist to the pinnacle of executive leadership. That is what freedom with responsibility makes possible. Not inherited power, not connections, but earned opportunity. In today's world, freedom is not only political, it is economic, it is social, and it is also digital. It is why in my portfolio we are giving true meaning by making smartphones more affordable with the removal of the luxury tax on entry-level devices. We are introducing new regulations to ensure that data bundles will no longer expire before people fully use them. And we are fighting for an approach to economic transformation that is both inclusive and practical. That is why we issued a policy direction to recognize equity equivalent investment programs in the telecom sector, opening the door for more competition and expanding access to opportunity. All of this is about freedom. The freedom to work to provide for our families, the freedom to connect to a world beyond our boundaries, and the freedom to live in a country that works, because that is the freedom South Africa deserves. Democrats, freedom also demands something from us. It demands that we must build for a better life. The responsibility we have towards freedom does not end when we are elected to office. When our members are appointed as ministers, as mayors, or councillors, we are given the privilege of serving our country. But that comes with great responsibility. Our national, provincial, and local government institutions have been destroyed by decades of corruption and incompetence. So rebuilding what is broken will not happen overnight. It will take resilience, it will take discipline, it will take the unwavering commitment to do the right thing again and again until South Africa works for all. Democrats, our opponents do not want the DA to succeed, because when we do, we give people hope that a better future is possible. Not with words, but with delivery. Not with excuses, but with accountability. And not with fear, but with courage. Democrats, we inherited the promise of freedom. Now we must become the generation that delivers on this promise, because that is the freedom South Africa deserves. And it is our time to make sure that it happens. Viva DA, viva!
Democrats, in 2024, we broke the grip of power of the ANC. That grip which had weakened our country. Voters knew that without democratic change, a generation of South Africans risked losing the gains of freedom. Today, the ANC is split into factions, fighting over tenders and public resources. And the responsibility of leading our country, of protecting freedom, and of creating a future of hope and opportunity has passed to the Democratic Alliance. The DA has shown what we can do in government if we have a stable and a strong platform from which to deliver. From reforms in key national government departments to our successes in Cape Town, in Midvaal and Umgeni. Now is the time for us to roll out these successes to the rest of the country. But despite being rejected by the voters of many towns and cities, the ANC clings to power thanks to small parties. Before elections, these smolenyana Pikinini parties ride the wave of anger against the ANC. But after the election, these parties become just like the ANC. First, they destabilize DA-led coalitions, and then they join in the corruption and the mismanagement of ANC coalitions. Look at what has happened in the nation's capital. Small parties could have helped the Democratic Alliance make real progress in the Tshwane Metro. But when they had a choice, they sold out our city to the ANC. And look what has happened now. These parties could have helped us complete the project to get clean water into the taps of the people of Hammanskraal. Metsi di Pompong instead of Metsi di Tankeng. Hierdie partye kon ons gehelp het om eerder as salarisverhogings toe te staan, daai geld te spandeer op die opgradering van waternetwerke, kragnetwerke, sodat daar minder ontwrigting is van huishoudings en besighede. They could have stood with us when we stood up to waste contractors who didn't do their job. Instead, they handed Tshwane back to the ANC. While Nasipi Moya wears the mayoral chain, the fact is that she's just fronting for an ANC power grab. In the year that Moya took office as mayor, spending on water tankers for formalized areas, places that are meant to have water in their taps, increased from 140 million to 777 million. Today, Tshwane spends more money on carting water than on fixing pipes, on upgrading water systems, and doing other things that give people water in their taps. And we know who benefits from this water tanker tenders. In Tshwane, the deputy mayor and the regional ANC chairperson is a water tanker tenderpreneur doing business with the city. But his Action SA mayor keeps him in his position as MMC for finance. So if the DA warns against supporting small opposition parties, we are not being churlish, we are pointing to what is wrong in our towns and our cities. To break this pattern of failure Democrats, we have to make the Democratic Alliance the biggest party in our country. Voters must show up and they must know who they're voting for. But the DA is also taking responsibility to stabilize coalitions in this country. We are pushing for electoral reform, in particular, a threshold of representation. If a 1% threshold had existed in 2021, the numbers of parties in Joburg could have been 10 instead of 19. In Tshwane, 6 instead of 14. If a 1% threshold is introduced ahead of 2026, it can stabilize coalitions and it can help build governments that deliver. Democrats, a weak ANC is not enough to make progress in our country. To make South Africa strong and to get our towns and cities working, we need a strong DA. Now let us take that message to the people of South Africa. Viva DA, viva!
Vhadzulapo va Afrika Tshipembe ḽoṱhe, u bva Limpopo u swika Gauteng, u bva Gauteng u swika Western Cape ndi matsheloni, Sanbonani, Molweni, Abusheni. Fellow Democrats, 32 years ago, through the blood of our parents and our grandparents, a beautiful democracy was born. They stood for long hours in long queues with a dream of a better future for all. Since then, this feeling of hope has been used as a weapon against South Africans. The ANC have used it to try keep us focused on the glory of liberation, while in the same spirit, they loot every single department that is here in South Africa. They have used it to stop us from asking a very basic question, ukuthi kunjani makunje, when our cities are collapsing right in front of our eyes. Democrats, I stand here today as a proud daughter of Ekurhuleni, a city where the opportunity of a better life for all have been stolen. In its place are the barriers of crime, corruption, and a collapsing service delivery. The city is crumbling, and with it is the dreams of an entire generation. Our homes are running without water, our streets are in darkness, and our brothers and sisters wait in corners for a job opportunity that never comes. Fellow Democrats, when I get elected as the next mayoral in the city of Ekurhuleni, it will be my mission to remove the barriers that we have been subjected to in the city of Ekurhuleni, to bring about a city which is a city of peace, and will experience that peace through the services that we will be getting. Fellow Democrats, there is no better example of this than the wonderful city of Cape Town, where they've invested over 40 billion of infrastructure from their budget to ensure that they fix their city. And in that, with more investment, they ensure that there is functional policing, because we can all see that our SEPS is failing the people of South Africa. Masibabuza in the city of Cape Town, ukuthi kunjani makunje. They tell us about the unemployment rate that is the lowest across this whole country. They tell us about the service delivery that the people of city of Cape Town experience on a daily basis. Now, fellow Democrats, we must be the generation that refuses to remain in the past. We must be a generation that will take everything that has been stolen from us and ensure that we experience the freedom that we can all be proud of. In this election, South Africans, we are going to show the ANC that we are more than just cheap t-shirts and expired food parcels at every election. I do not know about you, but the people of Ekurhuleni in particular, they are awake, because we see through the 1 billion of water literally leaking into the ground. We see through the 3.4 billion that is owed to Eskom. We also see through the 13 billion that is owed to its suppliers, which compromises the service delivery on the ground. But the people of Ekurhuleni, uvathembisa uya Springs, uvaduduza uya Germiston, uvaduduza na uya Albertine. They remember that the city of Ekurhuleni was once the industrial engine of our nation, the workshop of Africa. But today, under the ANC-led government, that engine is no longer functional. The rot that we see in the Madlanga Commission is not just a headline, but it is the lived reality that the citizen of Ekurhuleni experiences in the daily basis. Now, the ANC will tell you to remember that they fought for the freedom, but the message from the DA is what freedom when we live in the rot that they have subjected us to. Democrats, our problems are not just something that we can leave in the past. The problems that we are experiencing today are not the problems of the past, but they are everything to do with the current government of the ANC that have had 32 years of government. And if the ANC, who have failed to replace the potholes in the Captain Park area, it is the same ANC who have failed to fix electricity in the Captain Park area. It is the very same ANC who has brought the city financials of Ekurhuleni into ruin, and it is the very same ANC that have neglected 35 of the 37 pools in Ekurhuleni. Fellow Democrats, come local government this year. But if you do not believe me, I want you to take a look around this stage. I want you to take a look around this hall with 2,000 delegates. And if you don't believe me, I want you to just experience that diversity, the energy, the results of the party. And I tell you that this is the party that will take the city of Ekurhuleni and this country forward. Democrats, our country is no longer at a crossroads. For we have already chosen our path. We are choosing a professional government in the city of Ekurhuleni. We are choosing a government that will be accountable to its people. We are choosing the people of Ekurhuleni to experience the quality of service delivery that the people of the city of Cape Town experience. And as my fellow generation sings, but yiyo, 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 this, fellow Democrats, is the only political party that will root out the rot that the people of Ekurhuleni are experiencing. Ngazvezvo ndolivuwa.
Good morning, Democrats. Democrats, we meet today in a city with a powerful story. A city built by people from across our country, our continent, and the world. A city that has always promised that no matter where you come from, you can build a life, earn a living, and create a future. But for too many young South Africans, that promise is slipping away. Across our cities and towns, young people are growing up where opportunity feels out of reach, where finishing school does not lead to a job, where starting a business feels impossible, and where basic services fail too often. For many, this has become normal, but it should not be. Because in South Africa, we have seen something different. We have seen municipalities that work, and that is why this moment matters. Because the future of our country will be decided whether our cities and towns work, whether water flows through our taps, whether the streets are safe, whether opportunity exists. This is the foundation of a functioning society. But the good news is this, Democrats. We already know how to build municipalities that work. We have seen it in practice. Just in the last quarter of 2025, the city of Cape Town created 96,000 jobs, while Joburg lost 49,000. That is the difference between progress and decline. In Cape Town, infrastructure investment drives growth. In Midvaal, clean governance delivers stability. In Umgeni, accountable leadership is restoring performance. This is not theory, this is proof. Proof that when government works, when government gets the basics right, people's lives improve. So the task before us is clear. We must protect and invest in infrastructure, as no municipality can succeed if it fails to maintain the systems people rely on every single day. We must build a capable local government, appoint the right people, enforce accountability, and spend public money where it should be spent. We must enable economic growth by creating conditions where businesses can invest with confidence and create jobs. This is how we fix our municipalities, Democrats. And when municipalities work, South Africa works. This is the vision we must take forward from this Congress. Because this is not just about one city. It is about every town, every community, and every South African that deserves a government that works. This election is a choice. Do we accept decline or do we choose progress? We must choose a path where things work, where the people of this country come first, where every South African knows that they have a future, and we must choose it together because we believe in our cities and towns. And Democrats, together, we can get our cities and towns working. I thank you.
Delegates, Democrats, in KwaZulu-Natal, coalition government demands capability, discipline, and ethical leadership. As finance MEC and the DA's provincial leader, one man helps lead that work. Please welcome Francois Rogers.
Democrats, viva! Phambili, DA, phambili! Amandla! Greetings from the Kingdom of the Zulu. Greetings from the Democratic Alliance in KwaZulu-Natal. The only province that has established a government of provincial unity. And here's the reality, Democrats. The age of one-party dominance is over. Ikhongolos bashonile. But not because it ended gracefully, because it failed spectacularly. It's failed across every sphere of government, and it's now failing in our municipalities. It failed millions of South Africans who were promised delivery, but instead they got decay. Coalition politics didn't arrive because politicians wanted it. It arrived because the voters and the citizens forced that change at the ballot box. The vote sent a clear message: no more blank checks, no more unaccountable power, no more excuses. But here's the truth. Coalitions only work if they are built on principle, not convenience. They must be built on delivery, not political deals. They must be built on accountability and not silence. KwaZulu-Natal has become the front line for this battle of South Africa's future. After the 2021 election, the local government elections, the province decided to enter into service delivery agreements with the Inkatha Freedom Party in our hung municipalities, because the writing was already on the wall that beyond 2024 there would be no more ANC dominance. These cooperation agreements afforded us the opportunity to assess governance, to assess capability, and to build on common principles in the delivery of services. Through service delivery pacts and disciplined cooperation, we proved that a party does not have to be the majority to be able to bring about change. What does collapse municipalities is corruption, incompetence, and leaders who fear the scrutiny of voters more than failure. Let's be honest. In KwaZulu-Natal, those broken municipalities are now suddenly afraid of the Democratic Alliance, because the Democratic Alliance exposes them. We've exposed inflated contracts. We expose empty bank accounts. And we expose the lie that things take time to change, when nothing, in fact, ever improves. A strong opposition within a coalition is not a threat. It's a necessity. And it's common knowledge that the Democratic Alliance, as a partner in the government of provincial unity, remains an effective opposition. Let's be clear, this journey has not been easy, particularly when we have to expose corruption and governance failures within provincial departments led by our own GPU partners. The decision to place the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education under Section 18 of the PFMA, which is a Treasury intervention, didn't go down well at all. In fact, it nearly collapsed the GPU. But as the DA, we chose principle over expedience. So as we move forward, we need to ensure that without pressure in coalition governments, government rots. Without oversight, coalitions drift. Without consequence, failure becomes permanent. The local government crisis that we face now didn't fall from the sky. It was earned. It was earned through years of cadre deployment,
financial mismanagement, and a culture where loyalty mattered more than competence. And now suddenly we're still being told, be patient. Don't rock the boat. Don't demand accountability. But South Africans have been patient for more than 30 years. Coalition politics and coalition government is not chaos. It's consequence catching up. It's voters saying, you will no longer govern alone. You will no longer fail without challenge. You will no longer hide behind history. KwaZulu-Natal is proving that a different way is possible, where coalitions are disciplined, focused on services, and intolerant of waste. But here's a warning to us. Ad hoc alliances, backroom arrangements, and informal deals will destroy this opportunity. They will deliver instability and not progress. If we want coalitions to succeed, we must be uncompromising about standards. Professionalized administration, transparent finances, and leaders who fear voters more than their party bosses. This moment will define the next decade of South African politics. Either coalitions become the mechanism that restores service delivery and trust, or they will be deliberately sabotaged by those who thrived in failure. I know which side I'm on. This is no longer about party comfort. This is about whether government exists for politicians or for the people. And make no mistake, Democrats, the era of excuses is over. Ziyakala!
The DH Federal Congress, right here at the Gallagher Convention Center, has been officially open for day 2. We've got amazing performances that happen, but also some brilliant speeches from our mayoral candidates. I'm now joined by a very special man, Mr. Jobs himself, the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Winde, who's here with me today. Alan, how does it feel to be at this beautiful Federal Congress this morning?
How's it, Bex? Wow, I mean, this is day 2. The energy is continuing, and it is like a huge new feeling of optimism, of hope for our future, of our country now really getting to grips with what a democracy means and how our future is now starting to look much brighter than ever before.
Definitely, I mean, it's exciting to be here, Alan. But look, Alan, you govern the one province that the DA leads in the whole country, the best province in the country. What is it that you do there that is getting the Western Cape working?
So, I mean, we've been governing for a while now, and we kicked off with good governance. It's about getting the basics right. You can't be corrupt. You've got to make sure the money gets spent on services for the people. So we got the governance right. It took a few years, and now it's a habit. Good governance is a habit. Clean audits and unqualified audits, they're a habit. So now you get to service delivery. Now you can get things done. You've got the money and the system to build the schools. You've got the system to invest in economic opportunities. You've got a system that makes sure our healthcare is up to scratch and world class. And so, yeah, I think that's the first thing. You get the basics right, and then you just build on it every single year.
Look, I mean, you've done exceptionally well. The lowest unemployment rate in the history in the country at the moment in any province compared to any national average. But the Western Cape is not without its challenges. The army is being deployed now to fight gangsterism and crime. But what needs to be done for us to actually combat crime and gangsterism in the Western Cape?
Well, I've been saying this for many years now, that, we need to change the policing model in South Africa. I mean, sure, we have got very high gang murder rates, but so have 4 provinces in South Africa. The murder rate is very high. In actual fact, all 4 provinces are echoing what we've been saying for quite a while. Change the policing model. We need to do it differently. You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. So in order to combat crime, let's put a new model in place. Give provinces much more power in decision-making, where to deploy these officers on how we actually reduce crime. It is holding our citizens to ransom, and we actually don't have the power to bring that change.
That's absolutely amazing, Alan. And look, people can take, for granted that we actually govern well in the Western Cape. How do we keep making progress and build on the progress that we're making at the moment? What do you have to say to people who are watching we're in the Western Cape for them, to do in what we're doing?
Yeah, but absolutely. I think people have got to understand, and that's the vibe that I'm feeling at Congress. People understand that DA governance, whether it's in the Western Cape and our municipalities there, but I mean our municipalities in KZN, our municipalities in Gauteng, our municipalities in the other provinces, those are the municipalities that stand out. And this election now in November is your chance to make your municipality a blue municipality as well. We've built the model. We're not perfect, but I promise you, our governments are just miles ahead of any other government in our country, and that's the difference, and the voter can make that difference.
Well, you heard it from the Premier of the Western Cape. You need to go and register to vote. Don't forget that we need to keep making progress in the Western Cape. I know we have to jump back to studio. Over to you guys.
Welcome back, South Africa. Well, since the last Congress, things have changed for the better. The DA has stepped into the GNU. We've turned things around. We've upturned the ANC, and we're getting South Africa working.
I mean, this is what ordinary South Africans really want to hear about, is how we are getting South Africa working. And we can only do that by hearing from our 2 ministers who are part of the Government of National Unity, because they are getting South Africa working.
Absolutely.
And they have been doing it ever since we formed part of government.
Indeed.
And we are welcoming today John Steenhuisen, our Minister for Agriculture, and as well Siviwe Garube, who is our Minister for Basic Education.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here with you guys.
Really great to be with you guys, and you guys have been doing a fantastic job over the last few days.
Thank you. That makes my job a bit more easier for today. I mean, how does it feel being at Congress second day? I mean, it's
really exciting. I think there's a great vibe here. I think you're seeing people very excited about the resolutions, they're excited about the program.
Yeah.
And you know the great thing is, and what makes this Congress different, these resolutions and these affirmations that we're doing now have a genuine path to actually becoming government policy.
Absolutely.
And that is great, and that's part of the things of the GNU. So for Congresses before, we've always debated policy resolutions, and they've remained policy resolutions and books. As we've seen now with the immigration white paper, with a variety of other things, these things now have we discuss and pass here, could become government policy.
Absolutely. Siv?
Absolutely. And I think for me, one of the biggest learning points and takeaways from here has been just how wonderful it is to have a party that values internal democracy.
Absolutely.
None of our chairs are bolted to the floor because none of them are going to be flying around. The fact that there were so many candidates who put their hands up, and the fact that we are able to say to South Africans, you can trust us with your vote, because if we hold ourselves to the standard of integrity in internal elections, we certainly will do that for you too.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's a very important important about how transparent and the internal democracy works within the DA. But as well, John and Siv, from your perspective, you know what government looked like without the DA. And now we are part of the government of national unity. And how has that changed the relationship between the people and government?
Well, I think that, it's been really eye-opening going into government. And what your perception of government is from the opposition benches is very different to what you find there. We've got departments that have literally been hollowed out by 2 decades of cadre deployment, corruption, maladministration. And you're stepping in and having to really try and pull these departments to do the right things again, to get them back on track. And it's all-consuming. It's a lot of hard work. And I think that many of us probably underestimate the scale and magnitude of the task. Nobody said it would be easy, but nobody said it would be this hard as well. But I think you're starting to see the progress now starting to come through in these departments. Look at agriculture. 10% exports up year on year. The star of the show when it comes to the contribution to the GDP. And our farmers and farm workers are really shooting the lights out. And they now have a minister who's in the office here, actively going out, finding new markets for their products, helping them get through the foot and mouth disease crisis by bringing in millions of vaccines from other places in the world, privatizing vaccine procurement, allowing private vets to vaccinate. These are things that were unthinkable for the last 2 decades that we've been battling foot and mouth disease.
Thanks, John. And you can hear it here that as well, in terms of in the agriculture department, how John is really creating jobs for the ordinary South Africans out there and growing the economy. And that is what the DA is about. And Siviwe, how are you finding also being in government?
Absolutely. But I think I want to latch on to John's point about, and your point about growing jobs. One of the reasons why we took the decisions that we took to join the government of national unity is because we were clear that we wanted to grow the economy, we wanted to lower unemployment, we wanted to pull people out of poverty. And hearing the work that is being done by our colleagues in agriculture, in growing the economy, being the star of the show in GDP growth, and also in looking at the departments like mine, where we are saying we want to create a pipeline of young people who are able to read and read for meaning. Remember, that was in our manifesto. We said we wanted 10-year-olds in this country to illiteracy to be something of the past. And now we've started to focus on ECD. 1.3 million children in South Africa have access to structured play, a meal every day, practitioners that are trained. They are starting to be cognitively developed enough to be able to start school at the right level. I would be so interested in I would want to see in the next couple of months South Africa being as excited about the ability of children to read as we are about matric results. Because for me, that's a far more impactful indicator that shows you how we are growing the pipeline for our employment.
I mean, it's clear to me why the ANC ministers are so jealous of DA ministers, because of the amount of work we are just doing. I want to come to this Congress as well, John. I mean, we have hundreds of media houses here present today. But why is this Congress so important, not just for the DA, but also for South Africa as well?
Well, it's important because we're now the second largest party of government in the country. What happens in the DA matters to the country. We are the government of the country. And so our processes here, the direction that's set by Congress, the leaders we elect are all going to have an impact now. They matter. It matters now to the country. It matters to South Africans who is elected and what we do. And I think we've got to continue to stamp our DA stamp in government. That's the point we went in there. We didn't go in there to extend the sixth administration of the ANC. We went in there to reinvent government. And I think if you look across government departments, we're reinventing, we're reforming, we're reconstituting, we're rescuing departments that have been in the backwater. How many years did we hear about digital IDs? How many decades have we been talking about digitalizing home affairs? In less than 2 years, it's done. And that is the difference. I think the DA's brought energy, a drive, and a determination into government that is getting these departments moving forward again. And I think that's going to be fundamentally important for the future.
And you can hear it right here that we are getting South Africa working. I mean, our ministers are doing it. They're making an impact. We are also implementing DA policies in our governments. And Siviwe, you took on a daunting task in Department of Basic Education.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that you wanted to focus on and really turn around as minister?
Look, I mean, firstly, I wanted to be true to what we said to South Africans.
Yeah.
We said to them that we want to improve literacy and numeracy rates in South Africa. So that was important to us. What John was saying, we were not just there to extend priorities that were set before. We said, firstly, we want to land our priorities in the MTDP, in the annual performance plans, in the 5-year strategic plan. And we managed to do that.
Wow.
And that's one of the things, the untold stories of the GNU actually, that the DA policies have found expression in annual performance plans of departments.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I wanted to focus on is to say, how do we make sure that we create children from 0 to 5 who are able to be cognitively developed enough to get to grade R and grade 1, being able to read and read for meaning. Because a number of children, millions of South African children, encounter a book for the first time when they're 7 years old, in a school that is derelict, in a rural area, with no water, for the very first time when they're 7.
Yeah.
That is an injustice that we are committed to saying, it doesn't have to be this way. We will work day and night to make sure that money that is meant for you actually goes to you.
Yeah.
We've said we wanted to protect the school nutrition program, that we don't want grubby hands taking money out of literally the mouths of hungry children. So those are the things that we've been committing to. But what excites me is that those things are now, we've committed the country to those things, not only just the 6 of us in cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the DA difference in action for you, creating jobs, growing the economy, and changing lives across the country as well. John, I want to perhaps come back to you as well. I mean, we know, the agriculture ministry is a fruitful sector of our country, pun intended there. But what are some of the big wins that you can share with our viewers at home, coming from your department as well?
Well, certainly the big wins are opening markets for South Africa's agricultural goods, because that's how we get the premium for our farmers, but also how we create the demand that has to be met by expansion here in South Africa. For every hectare of apples, pears, citrus that's planted, it's 1.5 jobs in the value chain. So we also need to get our small-scale farmers into those international value chains where they can realize the real value for their agricultural products. So opening new markets in China, opening markets in Thailand and the Philippines, Japan, those have been a priority focus. Then also being able to ensure that we, for the first time in 30 years, now have a clear pathway with a policy to beat foot and mouth disease that has kept our red meat sector closed to the rest of the world for almost 2 decades. Now with our move towards FMD-free status with vaccination, with a proactive vaccination of the national herd, within a year and a half, we could be trading with up to 94 countries in the world with red meat.
I mean, that's
and
like
that is
the
a
Spanish
game
market.
changer. And it's a game changer as well, because if you look at the participation from black South Africans in the livestock sector, it's the highest participation rate across agriculture. It's 45%. So if you start delivering that premium, can you imagine what this is going to unlock in the Eastern Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal, the Northwest Province, the Northern Cape, to get red meat products into markets that have been completely shut off. We've got the quality, we've got the price advantage, we've got a proximity advantage to places like Europe, and it's going to unleash and unlock that. Then also the jobs that we've been creating and linking small-scale farmers into value chains. One of the big projects we did in KwaZulu-Natal, linking small-scale herb and chili producers with big companies like Unilever, encouraging them to source locally and with a skills transfer. And that's how we're going to bring more people into the sector. It's also been encouraging to see how many young people are excited about agriculture, which has moved beyond just putting something in the ground and growing it or knee-deep in, in mud with cattle and pigs. It's drones technology, it's hydrology, it's scientific biologicals that are changing the game when it comes to agriculture. And these are the things we're unlocking so that we can really grow the sector.
I mean, I think, I'm quite excited about it. I mean, even if you look at the amount, the chemicals, production for fertilizer and all of those things, I think that's so important that we get it right, because as you've mentioned, 45% of your farming is, black communities, rural parts of our country, and they require that support. And this is a DA-led minister that is actually doing that for our people as well.
I mean, it's so important because now we're seeing it. We're not just talking about it, but the DA is delivering on those very same promises that we made during the last election. And I mean, Siviwe, you have so many parents watching from home, millions and millions, and there are so many young learners who are watching from home. Please let them know what you have in store for them coming from the Department of Basic Education, because, you know, this is your message to them as the minister.
And as John was saying, I mean, in less than 2 years, we've been able to really deliver on key deliverables. And that is really, I think, for me, one of the key DA differences. And in this time, during this time, we've focused on early child development. We've registered 14,000 new ECD centers in this period alone. That means that we're unlocking a subsidy for each child every single day. And we are able to make sure that each child has a meal every single day. They've got structured play, that they're able to be educated at the level at which they need. We have what we call the Thrive by 5 Index, which is designed to literally look at whether or not children are cognitively developed enough to start grade R. We want to be able to have a national assessment to test children in grade R whether or not they're ready for grade 1. We want to be able to make sure that your children, we are able to detect if they are learning difficulties, if they need assistance devices for them to be able to learn. Because you see, the learning losses that are learned earlier, that I had earlier on, you never recover them. They are just masked, and children go through and through and through. And then what happens is that we start to panic in grade 10, in grade 11, in grade 12. Why aren't learners taking on maths and science? Why aren't more learners taking on accounting? It's because of the learning losses that we had at the beginning. So I want to say to South African parents, in us you've got an advocate for your children. Your 13.7 million children, your 500,000 teachers at home, the 25,000 schools out there. In us you have an advocate that says we will make sure that every decision we take puts you at the center of it and puts your child at the center of it. And we will protect things like the National School Nutrition Program that makes sure that your child gets to have a meal a day. We will protect grants that make sure that your children are able to get to school safely every single day. And that is the commitment that we are making. But we're not just making those commitments, we are delivering against them every single day. But as John says, these are difficult. These are difficult reforms, and at times we do get pushback, and at times we do get resistance from these kind of changes. But you know what? We didn't get into government just to get along. We got into government to change things, and change them we shall.
Absolutely. I mean, John, we've got the local government elections coming up. What is your message to every South African watching this broadcast?
My message is very simple. If you want change, if you want to get your municipality working, you've got to vote for a party that doesn't tell you what it's going to do, but can show you what it's done already. The DA has a record of action and a promise of much more. We don't talk about fixing municipalities, we get down and do it. We get the basics right, the water in your taps, the electricity in your home, the potholes in your streets getting sorted out. These are the things that the DA is doing all day, every day in municipalities where voters have trusted us to govern. So if you want the same in your local community, you've got to vote for it. You've got to vote for the DA. There'll be many parties that come with millions of promises. Vote for a party with a track record. And to all those young people out there who are watching, make sure that you're registered to vote. It is so easy to register on the IEC website. We have links on the DA website that'll guide you through it. It literally takes a few minutes. Make sure that you're registered to vote. There's no use complaining if you're not voting.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be remiss of us to not ask, because we've got the Minister of Agriculture with us. So is it Fellies, Plakkies or Tekkies?
Definitely Fellies. I spend most of my days now injecting cattle all over the country, so definitely the Fellies.
So,
listen, I'm a sneakerhead.
Love
I will always wear. Please can you bury me
They didn't pay us for advertisement. Cover the logo.
Please bury me in sneakers. Thank you very much.
And we also have to ask you this question now. What were your favorite subjects in school? Sim?
That's not very difficult. It was history.
Oh.
Certainly history.
I'm the same, it was definitely history. Because there's that famous saying, history repeats itself. And I think we've seen the trends.
Yes,
Absolutely.
no.
Well, to our viewers at home, please remember that history actually has no blank pages. And history will remember that the DA was part of the government of national unity and was getting South Africa working.
Absolutely, Dikeledi. From classrooms to communities, the DA is delivering and making sure that we can get South Africa working.
And it is very important for all our viewers to continue on with the conversation using hashtag DA Congress 2026, but to also go and check your registration status by going to check.da.org.za and ensure that you are registered correctly so that you can have a DA government in your municipality.
Absolutely. The action doesn't stop here. We are heading back to the floor to our man on the ground, Mr. Bax Nodada. Bax, over to you, sir.
That is right, Donovan and Dikeledi. Bax is so back. I'm right here on the ground at the Gallagher Convention Center at the DA's Federal Congress. And it was a lovely conversation that you had there with John and Siviwe. But now I'm joined by the captain of the ship in Parliament, the Chief Whip himself, George Michalaikis, as well as the leader of the National Council of Provinces, Dennis Ryder. How does it feel to be at Congress this morning, gentlemen?
Well, Bax, I think it's been fantastic 2 days. It's like a little reunion, but it's also a source of pride for the party of what the party has become, but also a lot of hope for the path that the party is on going into the future. And I think the energy is fantastic. You can actually feel the excitement of what is going on here and the hope that it comes along with.
I mean, Dennis, this is your home province. How do you feel being here at the Gallagher Convention Center?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, it's really exciting. It's been a great venue. The arrangements that have been put in place for us are really fantastic. Everything is here that people can ask for. Seeing the colleagues from all over the country has really been amazing. And the fact that we're able to work in a venue here, get things done that are really going to have a tangible difference in the future of South Africa. Passing resolutions, making constitutional amendments, doing these things that actually shape the way the DA is going to operate in the next couple of years. So really exciting.
No, definitely, Dennis. I mean, George, it's very blue here. Are you not missing the fake military gear or the red overalls of Parliament?
Well, I can tell you the general IQ of the room has gone up quite a bit in comparison with the National Assembly and probably the NCOP as well. But no, of course I don't miss them. If the National Assembly of Parliament looked like this, we would have gotten things done a long time ago already. You can see that the DA is an effective party. It's a party that delivers. And we've seen it this morning with the voting and that went smoothly. I mean, that took a few seconds for literally hundreds of delegates to get through, to the decisions that are being made and implemented, to the democratic process of choosing new leaders. I mean, this is in stark contrast with the EFF and the MK. And I am very, very proud to say that we are such an effective party, but also the party of democratic values and the party of delivering efficiently, internally and externally.
That's absolutely amazing. Definitely blue, no green or red. I mean, Dennis, people were asking the National Council of Provinces, what does that do for South Africans? What is the DA team doing in the NCOP, and what exactly is the NCOP?
Great, thanks, Bax. Well, the NCOP is the less sexy House of Parliament, let's be honest. We're not the guys that you see on TV all the time, because we have got kind of a more sedate role to play. There's less circus antics and tricks and performative politics that goes on in the NCOP. So we have two distinct roles, and the one is the senatorial role, which we retain. And senates have always been kind of, you know, the more sober area where we're supposed to consider legislation and do a second check on the legislation that comes through the other house. we also have a role to advance the interests of the provinces. And that's what takes the majority of our time, is that we actually have a look at the impact of legislation and what the practical implementation of that has done in provinces and how best to tighten that up and ensure that lawmaking takes into account the people on the ground, the people in provinces. We have loads of fun. We've got a much smaller group of people. Our DA caucus is only 12 in the NCOP, which comprises a total of 54 permanent members. But the reality is, when you're sitting in that close environment and you're getting to ask questions of the president, of the deputy president, and of the ministers, it's a much more intimate situation. And it's amazing how we get so many more commitments and real, genuine commitments out of the president and his cabinet in the NCOP. And that's one of the key things that we've been driving, strongly using our question sessions to ensure that we can deliver on the DA's mandate and get things done on behalf of our people.
Well, that's true, Dennis, because the National Assembly can't function without the NCOP. That is basically Parliament. But look, George, South Africans may be sitting at home and asking themselves, what has the DA done for them in the National Assembly, in Parliament? What are the issues that have we championed for South Africans?
So can I first say that I think Dennis has actually underplayed it. The NCOP works incredibly hard, and I don't think they always get the credit that they deserve. So when we say the DA has done something for you in the National Assembly, they also have done the same in the NCOP. They've fought these fights in both houses, which constitutes Parliament. And I mean, it's been amazing, despite the fact that we have delivered exceptionally in the portfolios where we govern. And I'm not going to go into that. I mean, that's a long conversation in itself. I mean, the whole budget fight, the VAT fight last year, fighting for poorer South Africans, particularly, to have more money in their pockets, to cutting the increase in petrol prices this year to make sure that people have more money in their pockets. They have more money to grow their businesses and create jobs. The entire budget that you see this year has the DA's fingerprints all over it. That was DA fights that we fought in both houses in Parliament, in both the finance committees. We've put legislation on the table that will fight everything from BEE to child malnutrition, corruption, creating a better police, a better policing investigating directorate. So the work that Parliament has done is on key issues that the DA has done in Parliament is on key issues that affect the people. Job creation, service delivery, safety. These things are incredibly important for our parliamentary agenda. And I mean, we've blocked, a lot of people say that the DA, now that we're in government, have lost some of its oomph. I think actually we have been quite, if I can say so, gutsy. I wanted to use another word, gutsy in our fight against where we've seen ANC corruption. We've got one minister fired, one minister moved from their portfolio for exactly that. And we have blocked many key appointments that were dodgy. One on the Human Rights Commission, for example, one on the Small Business Ombudsman. So there's a whole range of things, and this does not even touch on the small work that both members of the National Assembly and the NCOP do on a daily basis in their portfolio committees, small fights that are too many to mention for South Africans on these things. So the DA is still robust. It is still, we get accused of being in opposition still while in government. We're a robust party of government that understands that we need to govern responsibly, but we also have a constitutional mandate to make sure that we govern cleanly and that our coalition partners are also held responsible.
That's quite true. I mean, we're not there to go along to get along. You know, we're there to deliver in government, but also hold every single person accountable regardless of who they are. I mean, Dennis, you are saying you are not in the sexy house. I believe it's a sexy house, but anyways, what is the DA championing for the people of South Africa in the NCOP, especially leading into the local government election?
So, Baxter, I mean, George made the point just now, and the cooperation between the two houses of Parliament has been operating exceptionally in the 7th Parliament now. And so we're working in close unison with the guys in the National Assembly, driving similar issues, picking up where they leave off and running with a ball once a piece of legislation has been passed to make sure that the changes come through that the DA is fighting for. Beyond that, I think that we've got some key issues around water, that are being fought at the moment. Our members are driving strongly on the issues of water, but really it's the local government issues that we keep on championing and fighting, and the fact that we need to intervene in far more municipalities. We need to make more of a difference in terms of our local government, which is where people get direct services from government. And that's essentially one of the strongest things we've been leading, and the big issues that we're driving, certainly, to make sure that government is felt by people and seen to be something that's helping people instead of hindering them and making their lives more difficult on a daily basis.
And that's very important, especially because government takes decisions that affects everything that happens in your home. I mean, George, while I have you, I cannot not ask. We're going to the local government election at the end of the year, and we're in an era of coalitions. What is the DA suggesting we do to set up functional local government in municipalities?
Well, I think we said this just after the President announced a few interventions in terms of local government elections, and we said that this at SONA as well. People in DA-run municipalities have water. So you can change the governance of certain municipalities, but ultimately it comes down to having clean government, effective government, that doesn't steal from the people, but it actually uses that money to deliver for them, to invest in infrastructure, invest in the future, and make sure that the basic services are delivered. It's not that complicated. The DA gets it right where we govern. If people want water, they need to vote for water, ultimately. And that's the program that the DA has, is we are on a mission to ensure that we get as many votes to win as many municipalities as possible so that we can get these municipalities back on track through good governance. It's not only a question of ensuring that the governance model is correct. If you don't have the right people, you're going to struggle and not have water. So that's the mission that we're on, and making sure that the basic needs that we have, water, electricity, sanitation, these things are fundamental to municipal service delivery, and that we get that right and deliver it to as many South Africans as possible. But we're going to need every South African to say this is what we want, and therefore we're going to vote for the DA.
All right. I mean, that's absolutely solid, George. We need to get sure that these municipalities are actually functional. I mean, gentlemen, there are people that are watching at home, listening to our conversation. What would be your parting shot to the people sitting at home coming from the DA Federal Congress?
Well, parting shot, I think, is just keep fighting for blue. The blue machine is the only one that's really going to make a real difference for you. And our movement from the blue machine to the blue heart, with the DA showing that it's caring for communities, I think is central. If you want a party that cares for you, that is really making a difference, as George said, coming to a household near you, where government really matters, you need to keep it blue, keep voting for the Democratic Alliance.
Amazing. From you, George?
Well, if you look behind me, this is what democracy can be. This is what diversity can be. This is South Africa in one room. This is the kind of country we want to build. And if you can buy into this idea of this effectiveness, this diversity, actually working to find solutions to South Africa, then the DA is the party for you. Because ultimately, if we can do this in this room, that's what we want to roll out throughout the country. That's the dream we have for this country, and that's why you should vote for the DA.
Well, you heard it right here from the leaders of the DA in Parliament that captain the ship of members of Parliament who are representatives of all South Africans in Parliament. And I might be biased because I am the Deputy Chief Whip, but Parliament is an important institution. That is an instrument that shares the voices of all South Africans so that your issues are dealt with, whether it be about jobs, crime, basic services, or even fighting corruption, creating legislation, or even holding the government accountable. The DA is at the forefront of that, and at the heart of it is the people of South Africa. And we will not stop fighting for the people of South Africa so long as we are in Parliament. And it's important for you to remember that if you want to get your municipality working, your town or your city working, and especially South Africa working, you need to vote for the DA. And the only way you can do that is by going to check.da.org.za to make sure that you are registered correctly in your ward, in your voting district, so that you can cast your vote for the Democratic Alliance, so that we can rescue your municipality and get it working again. Look, I know that my guys, Double D on stage, Digaledi and Donovan, may have more for us, so we're going to turn back to them. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Bax. Indeed, the DA is fighting for South Africa in Parliament, wherever the DA is represented, whether in Parliament, provincially or locally, the DA is getting things done.
I mean, to our viewers at home, we are going to now talk about what we are doing in the Government of National Unity. But we have in studio 2 ministers who are really working so hard to get South Africa working.
Yep.
And with us in studio, we've got Dr. Leon Schreiber from Home Affairs, and as well our Minister for Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister Soli Malatsi. Welcome, gentlemen.
Yep.
How are you feeling about day 2 of Congress and the weekend overall?
Well, I think we are getting down to the business end now, as they say. I think we reflect on a very successful first day of this really historic federal Congress, where we covered a lot of ground, whether it's your constitutional amendments, but also I think the speech from outgoing leader John Steenhuisen was really a massive highlight as we reflect on how we ended up in the Government of National Unity and the journey and the success we've achieved along the way. So I think I'm very much looking forward today now to say we've reflected on the journey and the principles that took us this far and brought us this success. How do we now go into the future, building upon this, making sure we deliver for South Africans through the GNU, and ultimately then also make sure that we grow our share at the table when it comes to our position in government.
Guys, it's been an exciting, fulfilling day. I attended my first Congress 19 years ago. Wow. And to come back here now and look at the diversity, the size of the Congress, it's great. And yesterday, I think we had 2 major moments. John's speech, he got the fitting standing ovation from the party, and I think also the tribute from Helen, a reflection of the journey that we have traveled, but also this exciting moment where we are as a party. And I think some of the work that was reflected in the constitutional amendments, the resolutions, also showcase the direction that we want to take the DA going forward.
Absolutely. Now, it's been 2 years since you've joined the Government of National Unity. What a journey it has been for both of you. But can you share about that journey for us briefly?
Well, I think it's incredible that you're saying these words. The DA has been in national government now for almost 2 years. Who ever thought we would say that? 5, 10 years ago, 19 years ago, I should say. Sorry.
Unthinkable at the time.
It would have been unthinkable at that Congress. And here we are almost 2 years in. So I think that's the point I'm making, a reflection on how far we've come. I think it has been an incredible journey. I think it has been difficult in the beginning, especially. It's something that you really can't prepare for. You actually have to experience what it is like to go in and not only be in government, but to now make sure that you deliver, that you bring concrete reforms into the department that you lead and make sure that South Africans can see the difference. I think from a Home Affairs perspective, and I also had the privilege of speaking about this yesterday, it's a massively exciting time. Our project to roll out smart IDs to essentially almost every bank branch across the country has already made a huge difference. A month since we've launched, 110 bank branches are live. You literally just walk in there, put your fingerprint down, look into a camera. 5 minutes later, your smart ID application is submitted. There's so much more to come. We're going to introduce home deliveries so that we actually bring Home Affairs to you. We call it Home Affairs at home, so that you don't always have to travel these huge distances to get to us. So I think very concrete reforms that are happening, that South Africans are experiencing. Thousands of people have already benefited from just this one example. And as I say, so much more to come. So I'm really excited about the prospects of what the DA is doing in the GNU.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's been 2 long years, almost 2 long years. I think in the process, we've both aged a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit. But it's a reflection of the effort that is required, to turn around some of the rot that we found and to then redirect it into what we proactively want the legacy of the DA to be in government. We face an institutions where you can tell there's resistance to change, but it's our opportunity to lead. So even talking about that resistance, cannot be appropriate because ultimately the DA is in charge of those portfolios. And for me, what is exciting is, some of the policy movements that we are making to make sure that there is a shift towards getting more South Africans connected to the internet, making sure that we can also have fewer functioning and sustainable state-owned enterprises. We can't continuously keep relying on the public payers for these state-owned enterprises that are shrinking. And most importantly, and Leon will probably attest to this, to instill professionalism and good governance in these entities, because it has just
just been a by the way kind of issue. And we sit at a golden opportunity as the DA because now South Africans at a larger scale can see the impact of the DA in delivery. And we need to ramp up that every day because that is where communities are going to eventually build trust with us and overcome some of the barriers that prevented some constituencies from identifying with us.
And I mean, it's so important because what the ministers have reflected on is the efficiency within DA governments, but they've also reflected on the work that they are putting in, the long-term goals to make government work for the people and the people of South Africa. And that's what we really do care about, is making sure that South Africa works and ensuring that everything that our interactions with government as the public and as communities is easy. Because really, nobody wants to spend the whole day sitting at a government department.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's indeed, I think, correct. You know, we are getting South Africa working with some of these wins. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, you are journaling. What is the thing you are the most proud of as a minister?
I think there are a couple of things I would mention that I think are very concrete for South Africans. So we discussed the banks project, the fact that we've dismissed 50 officials and counting at Home Affairs for corruption and other offences, 110,000 deportations in the 2 years we've been there. It's a 46% increase from what happened before. Our investment in technology for the Border Management Authority, getting drones out at the border, etc. These are all concrete things that I would think of. But if I have to journal, I think there's a principle or a philosophical point that actually is the bigger and more exciting one from my perspective, which is when you take all of these things together, the reforms that we are driving at Home Affairs, at communications, etc., we are proving that things that people thought were so broken that they were unfixable can be fixed. And that the DA is the party that is proving that we can fix these things that are so broken. And I've always said from day one, you know, people said Home Affairs is a poison chalice, it's the worst department in government. I heard it over and over again. And that is a really powerful motivator, because if you can then fix Home Affairs, then we can fix everything in South Africa. And I think that is a message of hope that we need to carry out for the country. It is even bigger than party politics, because it really gets to me that there's so much despair and hopelessness where South Africans think things can't get better. And then secondly, we have to be honest that people exploit that. There are people who try to drive narratives that South Africa is doomed, our problems can never be overcome, it can't be fixed. And by the work we're doing in the GNU, every single day we are disproving that, and we are proving that there's reason to have hope, there's reason to be optimistic, and that when South Africans work together, when the DA is a core part of that project, we can actually fix things that have been broken for very long.
Wow. Swale?
For me, the most important thing has been to showcase South Africans, taking them along on this journey, because change is not going to happen overnight, but in each and every step that we are doing to showcase that we have your best interest at heart and we are trying our best and showcasing that. We often make a joke about it that government has been bad at communicating and showing its work, and what we are relentless about is to show every act, no matter how small, that we are trying to do that. And one of the things that I'm most proud about is we are taking the steps that remove all these artificial barriers from people to be active in a digital world. You know, removing the luxury tax on entry-level smart devices, because the more people, low-income households, can get access to devices, you know, they can do e-learning, they can do, you know, digital economy stuff, connect to opportunities beyond the boundaries of their countries. You know, smart IDs, for instance, they make it easier, much more safer to be active. And cumulatively, as Leon says, you see that there is sustainable shift from the old way of doing things to a transparent and concerted effort of showing that we care about South Africans.
But this is also the DA in the government of national unity, bringing integrity to the public sector.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much unproductivity in government that we often talk about. And, you know, this shift, this change is so important for South Africans to start believing in their government as well.
So I know that right now, I think our man on the ground is ready. I know that Bax is ready to go and talk to delegates, and he's got a lot of exciting interviews to be doing on the Congress floor. So I think we are going to cross over to Bax now. I hope he's ready. He's got a work suit on today, so he should be.
thank you so much, Donovan and Digeledi, for that lovely conversation with Solly Malati as well as Leon Schreiber, who are doing some solid work in the government of national unity. But look, I want to talk about an issue that is at the heart of the ballot box. And you know when I say water is life, water is lewe, metsi ke bophelo, amanzi bubomi. A massive issue where water is no longer in our taps. Our taps are running dry in different municipalities and our communities are suffering. So I want to bring this conversation right to you, South Africans, because it is the reason why you need to go to the ballot box later on this year. I'm going to invite Stephen Moore as well as Sillo Sotlulo. Stephen is our spokesperson on water and sanitation in Parliament, and Sillo Sotlulo is the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation in the Government of National Unity. How does it feel to be at Congress this morning, gentlemen?
No, thank you so much, Bex. And let me just say that we are well en route to becoming the biggest political party in South Africa come 2029. If you look at the diversity, if you look at the nature and extent of the leaders that are standing for election in this Congress, we're definitely on our way to making sure that we take this country forward come 2029. But we start with this local government elections, Bex, because this atmosphere here is very electric.
Indeed, electric. Stephen?
Electric is right. I love the energy of this Congress. And I think best of all, Bax, we're seeing that the DA is really an alternative government in waiting, ready to change South Africa. The positive energy and the real ideas for change are just here. I wish South Africans could see and experience this amazing energy.
I mean, amazing, gentlemen, but we've got a real big issue with water. I mean, infrastructure is in decay, taps are dry. Why is that the case, Stephen?
I don't want to beat around the bush, Bax. The reality is ANC local governments have failed to maintain pipes, pumps, reservoirs and treatment works, the things that get water to our taps. Our water crisis isn't about drought or about bad luck. It's about broken local government. The reality is if you misspend money and you don't maintain infrastructure, then taps are going to run dry.
That's absolutely true. I mean, you inherited a department that has to play oversight in these municipalities to deliver. What is it that needs to be done in local government to make sure that our taps don't run dry?
Well, Bex and voters at home and colleagues, South Africans, one thing is very simple. Having traversed across the country, having met with over 50 municipalities, it's very clear, Bax, that the money that the National Department of Water and Sanitation, in terms of its regional bulk infrastructure grant, as well as its water services infrastructure grant, that money ends up going to water tanker mafias. It ends up going to tenderpreneurs who abandon projects, as Stephen quite correctly indicated, that many of these infrastructure projects are left to decay. Contractors leave site because they are not paid. Bax, the only solution for us to be able to get to a point where we're able to deliver taps or water in community taps is to be able to vote for a DA government and remove the African National Congress, who have fundamentally and otherwise failed to provide this particular basic service. And we can be able to do so, Bax, because as you heard from DA mayors here, none of them spoke about their challenges of water tanker mafias. None of them spoke about projects of water and sanitation that are not completed. All of them spoke about how every cent of taxpayer money is going towards making sure that services are delivered to communities. And whether South Africans or whether the ANC itself likes it or not, they know that the only way in which we will be able to deliver this particular human rights service to South Africans is through a DA-led government that will prioritize South Africans, will prioritize grant funding, will prioritize making sure that we're able to appoint people who are able to tell a difference from a clarifier to a digester, because currently we've got officials who are working at wastewater infrastructure that are unable to tell the difference.
Which is another big challenge, cadre deployment, people that are not competent to do the job. But where the DA government, water flows. What is it that the DA is doing differently to keep water in our taps?
Bax, I mean, Sello said it. The reality is the DA does the job government is supposed to do. We fight for infrastructure, we demand accountability, and we plan ahead. The reality is that even in Joburg, where we are currently, the DA has gone to court to fight for more money for infrastructure spending. And in DA governments, we fight for infrastructure spending. We make sure that the money is spent correctly on fixing things. That's the only way we're going to see real change here, is if you have a government that prioritizes this, not with words backs, but with actual spending and fixing problems.
Action, action, action. I mean, gentlemen, we are in Gauteng at the end of the day. We are in Johannesburg. The potholes in Johannesburg have turned into dams. I mean, we've seen Gogo taking a dip. Have you guys, took a dip at the potholes in Joburg?
Bags, I must tell you that Gogo is very brave, knowing that the wastewater infrastructure in Gauteng, particularly in Johannesburg, has declined from 91% to 48% in the past 14 years. I wouldn't even dare get into any water resource in Johannesburg, because I can tell you now it's deeply polluted and it is not fit for any human to be able to enter there. As for potholes, I think Stephen, I'll leave that to him.
Stephen, a dive, a swim? I mean, I come from the coast, so I don't have those problems.
Hey, mate, I want to laugh, but for Joburgers, this is their lived reality. And I want to say, Helen went to that pothole one day. Then the next day, the city came and fixed that pothole. But I live just down the road, and I drive past that almost every day. And that pothole broke the day after they fixed it. That's the type of service delivery we're seeing. We're seeing potholes that break and break again and break again. And that's not real service delivery. That's not DA service delivery. And I cannot wait for Helen to not just be in the potholes, but be the mayor fixing those potholes.
Absolutely solid, the mayor fixing those potholes. But the one thing that we need to ensure is that water flows in your taps. And you've heard it right here from these two gentlemen, that water is life, water is lewe, metsi ke bophelo, amanzi bubomi. And the only way we can get water in your taps is to get the DA in your city, town, and municipality, so that we can get it working. And the only way we need to do that is by going to make sure we're registered correctly. So go to check.da.org.za to make sure that you are registered correctly to vote, so that you can vote for the DA in your municipality. But also, you would have heard from our mayoral candidates that have highlighted this as their #1 issue they are going to resolve when they get into government. So lend the DA your vote so that we can get water in your pipes. I hear Double D, Donovan and Dikeledi have the Minister of Public Works, Dean McPherson, as well as the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Vile Okamp, to highlight some of the work they're doing in the GNU. So over to you, guys.
Listen, Bax, all that water talk just made me want to say, smaak my engel. I mean, it's just so crystal clear, like the waters in the DA-run city of Cape Town, that the DA Congress of 2026 is in full swing, and it's amazing to be here today.
I mean, that's right, Donovan, and we are joined by two ministers, and we are excited. South Africans at home, please continue watching using #DA Congress 2026 and join the conversation. Send through your questions for these two ministers here, because they have answers for you.
Absolutely. Well, please help me welcome Minister Dean McPherson, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, as well as Vile Okamp, Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Gentlemen, good morning. It's day 2 of Congress 2026. How are we feeling today, Dean?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Donovan and Dikeledi and Vili. I actually don't know how many congresses I've been to, but I've been to a lot for someone who's only 41. But that's because I've been in the party for so long. And every congress is unique. Every congress has a different flavor, a different feel. And this one for me really is around the new shift that the DA is taking in the generational leadership that's assembling in this Congress. And so I'm extremely excited to see what comes out of that, what their vision is going to be in the direction of travel that our party's going to head towards now.
Absolutely. How has it been, Congress 2026?
I've done many interviews yesterday, and in each one of them, I said to the presenter, isn't this room representing what we as South Africans are? this is the most diverse party.
Absolutely.
And all of them agreed with me. So what you see here is what South Africa is. South Africa is not those parties. When they have a Congress, there are only black people. Or when they've got a Congress, there's only brown people. Or only white people. We are South Africa.
Come on.
And this is what we need to take forward. And I think people are realizing that. All those fears that the DA will govern only for white people has been slain. There's no truth in that. And people see that. People see that when Dean McPherson in his department, or Leon Schreiber in his department, or Suviwe Gwagube in her department, do things that's to the benefit of all the people of this country. And that is what this Congress has cemented once again.
Come on, absolutely. It is South Africa indeed.
And I mean, the DA is also reflecting on the diversity, because if you go to the Congress floor, there are people from all walks of life, and that is so important in getting South Africa working, because this is what South Africa looks like, the real picture of South Africa.
Absolutely. You take a photo of the Congress and you just put up on every single sticker, and that is South Africa for you. Now, Dean, I want to come to you for a minute. I mean, you inherited a department with quite a bit of challenges, and you've made such an amazing success out of it. What are some of the things that South Africans can look forward to from your department?
I think the word challenges is an understatement.
Rather
I
you
tend to
than
use
me.
the word disaster at times. And we've made great progress, but we haven't made enough progress, and we've got to continue every day to fight for that progress. And I think that we wanted to look at three real aspects of the department. First, with the public works side, what to do with all of these buildings, try and stop the rot in the corruption around leases. So that's made me very unpopular with some people, which is fine. And to actually say that if we own all of these assets, why aren't we treating them as an asset management business? And so we're currently busy with that. On the infrastructure side, we've been really busy through reorientating and repositioning Infrastructure South Africa as the premium infrastructure agency in the country that actually prepares and packages projects so that they can get to market quicker and get that funding. And so we've been very deliberate in actually apportioning 600 million rand over 5 years so that we pay for that project preparation. So we do it ourselves so that those projects are ready to go to market. And we've seen immense value in that. In fact, 2 weeks ago we were we actually led a new $1 billion investment into this country that Infrastructure South Africa was solely responsible for. And the third thing that we've been focused on is around EPWP and making expanded public works more fairer, making it more long-term, and making sure that people find dignity in that. And that's really important. And so in the next couple of weeks, we'll actually be launching a new pilot project on EPWP, which is going to take people from 2-month opportunities to 10-month opportunities. Wow. And that's going to be a game changer for people who want to get onto the permanent pathway of employment.
Wow.
And I mean, we're going back to what the DA has been doing, and is growing the economy, creating jobs, the sustainability around it, and getting South Africa working. Now, Minister Okam, you have a very compacted department. I mean, it's forestry, fisheries, and the environment. And can you please just let every single South African watching at home, let us know, what does that entail for those who do not know, actually?
Do we have 2 hours?
No, we don't.
It will take quite a while. No, it is a huge responsibility, but I enjoy every moment of what I do because collectively with my colleagues in cabinet, we see that we are making differences. We, Dean and myself, have worked together on issues such as Knoflokskraal and harbours, where Dean's department are the owner of the harbour and we are the managers of the harbour. And for the first time ever, ministers, we went together to Arniston Harbour and we sorted out an immense lot of problems that they had there. So we are tackling this. One of my main priorities is to sort out the problems that we've got in our fishing industries. It is not right that somebody that was born at the ocean, that grew up there, that his whole life has got that natural resource in front of him, cannot make a living out of that. We must help those people to make a proper, decent living and in the same time protect the environment. So that is one of my priorities. Then also anti-poaching. We've got to take the fight to those poachers. We're not going to stand back again. Just in this week, we had around Robben Island poachers that rammed our boat. So our law enforcement guys were there to arrest them, and they literally, rammed our boat. We arrested 2 of them. Unfortunately, our boat was damaged. But the very next day, we arrested another 7. So we're taking the fight to these poachers. You will not win. We will not back down.
Sure. I mean, that is, that determination is absolutely so necessary in government, but also it's showing you that DA ministers are making a difference in their departments as well. There's a question coming from our audience at home to both of you. It's from Adrian in Gauteng, and he's asking how quickly will communities start seeing results from the DA in the GNU? Perhaps, Vili, you first?
Well, I'm not sure there's many fisheries in Gauteng.
So, just on that, I have recently upheld the appeals of 297 fishermen. Those rights, fishing rights of them, were taken away. On 1 March, they would not have been able to catch fish anymore. That's 297 vessels, 15 people working on each one of those vessels. Here you're talking about 4,000 odd people.
Sure.
They are maintaining or giving livelihoods to about 5 people. So you're looking at 20,000 people that would not have food on their table. I did those appeals that normally take a year and a half. I did all of them in 3 days.
Wow.
I gave back their fishing rights. They can now go and make a living.
Wow.
That is what we do. Same as I've said with Dean and myself at Honest and Harbour.
Sure.
We were there. The community could see that what we are implementing is immediately helping. Same in forestry. Like, for example, Knoflokskraal that Dean is driving. We are working together, and that is making the big difference.
So I think, what we've really been busy with, particularly in Gauteng, is around EPWP. We've had a couple of road shows through here. We are also working on unlocking some of the land and buildings that we have, particularly for human settlements. And one of the pilot projects with Operation Vulindlela on the new government housing model is going to be in the center of Johannesburg. So, we want to make sure that we can get these going. We're also driving a massive 30 billion rand investment. You will know about Silvercorp in your neck of the woods. And we actually want to expand that even further. And when we do that, we're going to be bringing government departments into those buildings. We're going to save 400 million rand a year every year on private leases. Now that can go back into other projects. So Gauteng is a big focus for us. It's the economic heartland of this country. If Gauteng works, South Africa works. And so we are quite deliberate and quite intentional about being partners in Gauteng, doing what we need to do to help those municipalities that want to work with us and get this province going. Because quite frankly, it's quite shocking to see the state of water, of roads in this province. And while that's not our direct mandate to do, one of the key interventions that we've started is working with local government on how to unlock their infrastructure spending. And so we provide skills, we provide the capacity to do so, and that investment flows in. So maybe, hopefully, once Helen is the mayor of Johannesburg, we'll be able to have a closer working relationship with the city.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's beautiful to see how GNU ministers have come to so many DA municipalities to really help those municipalities get South Africa working. But as well, Minister Oukamp, there is a question from Tando all the way from the Eastern Cape, and she is asking you, how are you protecting our natural resources and also creating jobs?
We have, in the last month, I have created a ministerial joint task force in Cape Town, where my department, together with Sandparks, together with the City of Cape Town, the province, as well as SAPS, have formed a joint task force that are sharing information, assisting each other in protecting our environmental resources. Through that, if we protect those resources, we will be able to create jobs because people will be able to then legally make use of those resources. We've got in forestry a huge amount of jobs that we are creating. We have created 20,000 jobs in the last quarter, just in that sector. So there's a huge amount of possibilities. But you've got to do the management properly. And then you've got to make sure that you do that at all places. We are not only visiting DA municipalities, we're going to all municipalities because people all over the country must see what the difference is that we can bring to them. And that is what we are doing.
I love it. Absolutely, absolutely lovely. Well, Dean, Vili, thank you so much for joining us in studio today. We are heading back to our man on the floor, Mr. Bax Nodada. Bax, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Donovan and Digaledi. That was an absolutely amazing conversation with the Minister of Public Works, Dean McPherson, as well as the Minister of Forestry and Fishery Environment, Willie Okam. But Willie was speaking about the coast. So I actually have two of the coolest mayors in the Democratic Alliance, Harting Bowman, the mayor of Kocha, as well as Dirk Kotze, the mayor of Mossel Bay. I mean, I come from the coast. We don't swim in potholes. We actually swim in the sea. How does it feel being here, gentlemen?
Maxwell, the atmosphere is really electrifying. There's definitely a sense of purpose, but you can really feel the DA gees here this weekend. So I'm really enjoying it and very excited. This is really giving hope to South Africa.
Absolutely excited to go back to the beach. How do you feel, Harting?
Yeah, Bax, it's amazing to be here. We're looking forward, obviously, to go home, but it's really, really wonderful to be here. It just shows what the DA can do and the type of organization that we are, and it's really exciting to be part of the new era that the party is moving into as well.
That's amazing. I mean, Dirk, you govern a DA-run municipality, which was at some point one of the top performing municipalities in the country. How do you get a municipality working?
Well, the first thing is you don't deploy cadres. That's the most important thing. Obviously, you need to be prudent in terms of your finances, long-term planning, financial planning, infrastructure planning, political stability, leadership that's planning forward. Yeah, so for me, the most important thing is your administration that's competent and they're not afraid of the politicians. You give them freedom to do their work.
Amazing. I mean, you, Harting, inherited a municipality in the Eastern Cape. What was the worst run municipality 10 years ago? What did you do differently that has turned that municipality to be the best run municipality in the Eastern Cape?
I think Dirk hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing is appointing competent staff. You have to appoint staff that can do the job that they actually are supposed to do. And otherwise, you can give up. That's so critically important. Then secondly, the financial sustainability, getting your finances sustainable and really being prudent and making sure that there's no waste. You cannot afford waste of any kind, and that's really critical. And then investing in your infrastructure. If you don't invest in infrastructure, then the further economic growth won't happen, and that's really critical for us as a municipality.
Look, that is solid. I mean, to both of you gentlemen, people living in your municipalities may take it for granted that the municipality actually works. So just to ask you both, what do you have to say to the people in your municipalities and the people at home on keeping to make the progress that the DA is making? What exactly do they need to do?
Well, Max, firstly, we're asking them, please register. If you're not registered, you can't vote. We're living in a democratic system and it's to our benefit. We're very thankful for that. But if people are not registered, then they can't vote. And then you need them to vote. People get what they vote for.
That's absolutely true. I mean, we need to keep making the progress in Kocha. How do we need to do and protect that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to get people to register, we have to understand where we come from and that we've come a long way since 2016 in our case. And then but we still have a lot to do. We have so much that we still need to get done. We know that we're not perfect yet. We want to be one of the top municipalities in the country, and we're not there yet. So we have these plans to make sure that we get to that place where we want to be. And then we cannot afford. We may have to tell voters over and over. We cannot afford to go back to the ANC government that we come from. We have to keep Kocha, keep our municipalities, keep the DA growing in our municipalities. That's critical.
A solid message to keep the DA in the municipalities. But, I mean, gentlemen, what is the most touristy thing to do? I mean, if I go to Mossel Bay or I go to Kocha, what would be the most touristy thing to do that people can come and visit to DA municipalities actually work?
Well, we've got such a lot to offer, Max. That's why we've got the iconic Mossel Bay campaign running. So at this stage, the best thing will be to go to the website of our Tourism Bureau, which we're working with together very well as Mossel Bay Municipality and Mossel Bay Tourism. So it's visit mosselbay.co.za. So we've got a project also called Route 12, where we've got all our smaller rural towns. We want that people also to feel part of Mossel Bay, to feel proud of what we're offering. And then obviously we've got an array of things. We've just received World Heritage status for the Pinnacle Point Caves last year. It's a project that the DA and the Council's been working on for more than 10 years. With the Western Cape Minister, Ricardo Mackenzie, we're very proud of that project. But then we've got the world's longest zip line over the sea. We were in 24, also named by Saker Burger as the #1 summer tourist destination. in South Africa. So we've got adrenaline sport, we've got beautiful game farms, wine farms. So we've got and obviously the natural beauty, 70 kilometers of beaches.
That is absolutely amazing. I mean, support the campaign for economic development in Mossel Bay, but also involving those smaller towns. I'm definitely going to come for the world's longest zip line over the sea. So I'm definitely got that in my mind. Hatting and Ekurhuleni, where do we go? What do we do?
Bex, you have to come for a surf lesson. I'll take you surfing. People come to Jeffreys Bay for the waves because it's such an amazing wave that we have. It's world class, but people stay for all the other things that there is to do. We've got such an amazing lifestyle for very, very amazing golf courses. We've got the Bavians Kloof, which is also World Heritage Site, and it's just such a beautiful adventure little capital that we have in the Eastern Cape, and it's really just a wonderful thing. There's so much to do. St. Francis, the relaxed lifestyle, the J Bay waves and the fishing, and it's just really a lifestyle that attracts people to our area, and that's really a wonderful thing, and we're really proud of that. And we're chasing Mossel Bay. They were first for December. We were second. We're coming for them this year.
Absolutely. This is healthy competition right here because of good governance. I can swim, I can't surf, so I'll come for those lessons. Look, you've heard it right here from the coolest mayors in the DA that are leading the garden route, the Kocha Mayor, Hatting Bowman, as well as Dirk Kurtzer, the Mayor of Mossel Bay. But it's important for you to keep making progress in Kocha and to keep making progress in Mossel Bay. You have to register to vote. Go to check.da.org.za to make sure that you're correctly registered to vote in your own community. It's important for you to do that. Also, join the conversation using the hashtag DA Congress 2026. We are building up to the announcement of the new leaders of the DA nationally for the next 3 years. So stay in touch with us and be part of the conversation. I know my double D, Donovan and Ekurhuleni, have got people that are fighting crime to the T in studio. So let's go back to them.
Thank you, Bax. Indeed, the guests we have in studio with us are fighting crime and corruption in South Africa. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of a cross-examination of our DA spokesperson of Justice and Constitutional Development, Member of Parliament, Glenys Breitenbach. And we also have the unofficial Minister of Self-Defense and the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Member of Parliament, Ian Cameron. Ian, Glenys, welcome to the studio. It's day 2 of Congress. How are we feeling? Glenys?
Well, yeah, I'm glad it's nearly over. It's been 2 long days, 2 very busy days. It's a spectacular Congress, as you can see. Very well attended. Everyone's having a ball, perhaps except me. And yeah, I think it's been a very successful Congress. So yeah.
Ian?
No, it's exciting. It's obviously the first one since we've come into national government. So it's exciting to see everyone again.
Yep.
Lots of complaints about the police, so I don't think we've got less work after the Congress finishes.
Indeed.
I think the whole of South Africa and every delegate here, every time they see Ian or Glenys, listen, I've got this issue, there's this in my community. And that's just how it goes, because they know that they are going to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And the DA does get South Africa working. But as well, Glenys, you have spent your whole entire life fighting against corruption. And, you know, just to our viewers at home, what does long-stem corruption do to the democracy of South Africa and communities in the long run?
Well, in short, corruption destroys democracy. It makes it meaningless for ordinary people.
Yeah.
Because democracy is supposed to give you access to healthcare, schools, opportunities, employment, and large-scale and insidious corruption takes that away. And so it makes democracy meaningless for ordinary South Africans.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Ian, everyone probably wanted to know, as you were walking on the Congress floor, what is it like to be part of the ad hoc committee that's actually investigating the claims of Lieutenant General Mukhunazi?
blatantly honest, it's extremely frustrating, and it's very sad to see. Let's make no mistake, the police, whether it's part of the MPA, etc., it was deliberately hollowed out, and it's always funny for me to see how certain people criticize it, but they are the very ones that hollowed it out. So there's no doubt that it was deliberate, and if I can pick on the ANC, they specifically did that to protect their own patronage networks. Everything you see, the majority of the mistakes or the issues rather that you see around you is because of that, and they have single-handedly assisted in destroying that, and to be, Glynis actually says it perfectly. She always says, now I'm using her line, but she always says that there's no use in us trying to just fix. Yes, we must try our best with what we have, but a lot of it will have to build from the start, from the bottom back to the top.
And I mean, that's such an important thing to say, you know, there's so much work that we have to put in. Previously, when we had the ministers here, they also spoke about the amount of work it takes to turn around departments and government institutions. But Glenys as well, there are so many South Africans watching at home. What is your dream for every single South African who is watching and is a DA voter?
Well, my dream for South Africa and South Africans is freedom, fairness, and meaningful opportunity for every single South African.
Come on. Ian, we are almost ready to hear the results of the leadership candidate election. Tell our viewers at home, what is the atmosphere like here in the Gallagher Convention Centre at Congress?
So it's the first time, to be honest, that I'm here in capacity of being a member of Parliament, a member of the DA, and it's really exciting. I think it's also an opportunity to move to a next level or a next step. So it's been really exciting to see the energy of everyone that's looking forward to something new, something fresh, possibly. So we'll have to wait and see what is announced.
Absolutely. Well, South Africa, it is time. It is time to rise, South Africa. It's time to rise from ANC destruction, from corruption, from broken municipalities, from potholes and empty taps. It's time for service delivery, and it's time for the DA. It's time to get South Africa working.
Continue using hashtag DA Congress 2026. As well, check your voter registration status by going to check.da.org.za. But as well, we've got an important announcement coming up. We are going to get the results. I'm excited. I hope everyone who's been watching and following this Congress is just as excited. I've already started getting text messages. So who did you vote for? Who do you think is going to take it? And I'm like, hold on, we're waiting for the announcement. So stay tuned. We're on the edges of our seats and continue following because the announcement is coming up today.
Absolutely. This is why we need to see the evolution
Municipalities that do best are not ANC-controlled municipalities. They are often DA-controlled municipalities. What is it that they are doing that is better than what we are doing?
South Africa was named Best Country, while its iconic city of Cape Town claimed the prestigious title of Best City in the World.
The city says it's determined to invest in critical infrastructure to improve the lives of residents.
The city will spend more on infrastructure in the next few years than Johannesburg and Durban combined.
More than 8 billion rand will go to new or upgraded infrastructure in poorer communities.
Most of our local municipalities are in tatters. They are heavily indebted and badly run. Midvaal, local municipality in the Vaal, has been one of a very few exceptions in the country.
The Midvaal municipality is working on ditching power utility Eskom and replacing it with a private company instead.
The municipality of Midvaal has been ranked first in clean audits and satisfactory service delivery for years running. It has consistently outperformed most of the municipalities in the province and indeed municipalities around the country.
The South African local government
Development Association in KwaZulu-Natal has commended Umgeni municipality for what it said is effective use of the municipal infrastructure grant. In 6 months, it managed to spend the 24 million rands allocation on various projects such as roads, stormwater, and finishing all the projects that had been poorly managed before.
The Kocha municipality is fighting crime with the creation of a high-tech intelligence center that helps monitor CCTV cameras and license plate recognition.
The Kocha municipality has also taken further steps to ensure public safety by launching an app for residents. In case of emergencies, the app directly links the user to the monitoring center.
It is a privilege to announce that George Municipality has achieved its 4th consecutive clean audit from the Auditor General of South Africa. This is a significant milestone that reflects our ongoing commitment to clean, transparent and accountable governance.
The West Coast District Municipality has officially been named South Africa's best-run municipality for 2025. 2 of its local municipalities, Saldanha and Swartland, were tied for first place as the top-performing local municipalities in the country.
These are the issues you're going to be considering as you go to the polls. Who is the party that can help us achieve better service delivery where I live?
The Western Cape government is currently pushing ahead to mitigate power cuts. The province has installed numerous solar panels to harness green energy. And Saldanha Bay, Stellenbosch, George, as well as the city of Cape Town are already using independent power producers to reduce reliance on Eskom.
To enable further job-creating economic growth, officials are investing 43 billion rand in infrastructure over 3 years.
7 out of 10 young people in the country are unemployed, but in the Western Cape, 8 out of 10 people have jobs.
Sometimes I look at the numbers and I almost have to pinch myself. It's unbelievable. 64.9% of all jobs in South Africa in the last 5 years are one province.
Some of the biggest global companies are expanding its operations in the Western Cape.
The Democratic Alliance in KwaZulu-Natal is now aiming to grow the party and take on the ANC head-on.
They actually outlined their plans for the province in terms of service delivery as well as governance.
The common denominator in KwaZulu-Natal is quite simply building a capable and ethical state.
Since I've taken office, we've cut our debt from 800 million to 300 million. We've done a full audit of all the properties, found over 500 properties the department didn't even know it owned. We've put in place a rapid response team that now responds within 24 hours to problems, no longer the 30 days that previously was the record of the department. So things are happening in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
We are seeing very positive developments since the formation of the Government of National Unity.
International investors are seeing this, they see that there is a seriousness and a commitment, and they like it.
And you know what the DA ministers have been doing. They have been taking interviews, they have been performing.
Dean McPherson, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, says the real infrastructure problems and crisis resides in local government, and his department's implemented ways to solve these problems at the local government level.
I want us to be a department that South Africa is proud of, that we're using public assets for public good, and that we're turning this country into a construction site.
Minister of Forestry, Fisheries as well as the Environment, Philip Okamp, is currently briefing members of the media on the damage that was caused by floods at the Kruger National Park.
I'm so proud to say that I'm part of this team. Everybody worked so hard to firstly get people to safety, that proactively worked to really make the best out of a really very devastating situation.
Okamp has extended the West Coast rock lobster season for a month. The department says it's committed to working with small-scale fishers and to save livelihoods in the sector.
The Home Affairs Department has this week announced that it has partnered with 5 major banks as the department aims to reduce the waiting times, strengthen security, and be efficient.
I think if we can demonstrate over a period of time that things can get better, even at a place like Home Affairs, we have the potential here to really restore hope that South Africa itself can actually get better.
Minister of Communication and Digital Technologies, Solly Malatsi, says his department has launched a digital transformation roadmap to establish a single digital identity for South Africans to access all government services.
Basic Education Minister Sivu Kwahobe has reiterated her department's commitment to eradicating pit latrines at schools across the country.
The Ministry of Basic Education is launching a transformative campaign to expand access to quality early childhood development. Well, the aim is to register 10,000 ECD centres this year to ensure every child up to the age of 5 benefits from early education.
Agricultural Minister John Steenhuisen says South African exports have not only remained competitive, but have increased to $161 million.
South Africa has regained market access for the exportation of apples to Thailand. The market has been closed for about 16 years due to changes in requirements by the trading partner.
Minister John Steenhuisen says vaccines are already being distributed across provinces. There's a national campaign underway vaccinating livestock against foot and mouth disease.
Farmers and farm workers are our country's greatest asset, and it's very, very important that everyone involved in the sector, from a farm worker to a large commercial farmer, feels that they have a department that is on their side and speaking out for them.
John Steenhuisen says his party now has a meaningful role to play in the reconstruction of the country.
Our responsibility is to now meet the challenge of the hour and to help turn South Africa around.
But I want to also be clear that what we will not do is to shy away from conflict when we are confronted with serious and lasting damage to our country or its constitution or the things that underpin our democracy.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has dropped a controversial value-added tax increase. His decision comes as South Africa's second biggest party, the Democratic Alliance, threatened to leave the governing coalition over the VAT increase.
The Democratic Alliance has described the court decision as a victory for all South Africans.
The DA's court intervention was the pivotal intervening factor that has enabled the people of South Africa to come out victorious and to show them why their vote really mattered.
It also shows us the GNU starting to function as it should. One party does not now get to dictate a decision for the collective.
It's another positive outcome for the Democratic Alliance in terms of them showing that their ministers are going to do the work. They are in this particular coalition to do good work and quality work. And the ANC, their ministers were already complaining that the DA ministers are making them look bad. They're going to have to pull up their socks.
It's now up to the next generation of leadership to ensure that the DA continues to do so with ever-growing confidence for many, many more years to come, so that we can deliver to the country of our dreams and deliver this country to all of our children.